Welcome back to Sall Good Podcast. This is episode 26, and we have two guests on this episode today. They're both musicians. We have Caroline and Schaeffer on here, and I'll let them introduce themselves. Oh my God. And before that, have you guys ever been on a podcast before?
Oh, you know what? Literally at the very, very, very beginning of our career.
Was a long.
We were so young and so nervous.
Yeah, it was like before the rise, the primacy of podcasts came along. So it was that was like 2010 or something. It was a long time ago.
Yes.
Yeah. So
the answer is yes.
Technically, yes, a long time ago.
So you guys are not newbies to the podcast game, in other words.
I feel like
I guess not. I probably am
Nice.
Because it's been so long. But yeah.
It's cool to know. Well, yeah, I'll let you guys introduce yourselves real quickly. Just let everyone know who you are, what you do, etc.
Cool. So we're siblings, brother and sister. We're musicians. I have always written, well, not always, but yeah, right now we're musicians. We're co-writers. Mm-hmm. Schaeffer's my guitarist, but also my co-writer. From Chicago, still in Chicago. Yeah.
Nice. All right, cool. Well, yeah, for the people that, if you're new here, or maybe you've listened to a few episodes, this whole podcast is kind of geared around talking about where you started, kind of to where you are now, and we kind of sift through things between that. So it's we go through experiences, some ins and outs, stuff to do with kind of the field of which they're in, and that in this case is music. So that's what we're going to go over in this podcast episode. So with that being said, we'll just start real basic here. When did you guys first get into doing music, or when was that your thing? Ooh, I need to start playing music. Or have you just grown up and that was the thing right out the gates?
It's funny, I started first, basically, actually really getting into it. So we were the kind of kids who were forced to take piano lessons.
Yes, yeah.
And
wow.
First...
So I mean, it has always been music has always been some element,
right?
Very far back. I mean, when did you start taking?
But as far as there's a big difference between doing music and actually being passionate about it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until I was a teenager, and this is gonna sound like so many tangents, but I started making music videos with my friends, to Nelly Furtado songs and Avril Lavigne songs and stuff. And then eventually I was man, it'd be so cool if I actually did music videos to original songs. And so then we started recording, and this is again, Schaeffer wasn't into it at first. I was forcing him to do background singing. We were using this really, I don't know if you know what Lego Studios is, but it was
a Lego set that had an actual camera you could film with and make your own movies with.
But the camera looked like a Lego.
Yeah, it was literally had Lego with studs on top.
So we used that as a microphone. There's a picture on my Instagram of it wrapped around something.
Yeah.
So we would
and a camera and a microphone both. We used it for everything.
So
we didn't have anything else.
I think, and this is gonna sound talk about or limitations breeds creativity. Yeah. I was using something a program that I think I had to just keep layering tracks. It wasn't a bunch of tracks. I had to just layer tracks over.
Sure.
There was no it's almost like a typewriter. There was no going back once you laid something down. And so I did that, and we would make music videos to our original songs. They were some of them were super cheesy. Some of them were actually pretty good though.
Yeah. Did you put them somewhere?
We still have some of them, right?
I don't know what if any of them are online.
No, I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
But the thing is, we did that, but then there was this period where we kind of stopped doing that, and we got into the improv comedy scene, which is kind of random.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
And I started becoming more interested in that, and music was a side hobby thing. Until one day I just started realizing man, I think it's music that I want to do. I remember somebody in my improv class found one of my music videos and was why aren't you doing music? Wait, you're why are you in an improv class?
Why'd you
stop? It was funny.
Did that make you upset that they said that, or were you that was a click moment?
I was like, oh yeah, like I am proud of that stuff, but I think it was like a click moment of like, yeah, I should be doing that. And then, but I think I didn't feel like I could do it until Schaeffer actually started getting into it, and not only getting into it, like surpassed me in guitar and like.
Yeah,
So.
well, in my case, it's like music, even because I got into improv when I was like 16, and everybody was like in their mid to late 20s in my same class, so it was a very strange experience. But throughout all that, I'd actually become passionate even about piano. Like I had grown up taking classical piano lessons, and then I actually, on my own, became genuinely interested and started practicing on my own and teaching myself more.
Did you tell other people that you were doing this, or did you just take this in your own hands?
Yeah, Schaeffer's very secretive.
I keep things close to the chest, so I didn't really let anybody know. I mean, obviously, anybody here, my family, my parents knew because of,
absolutely.
I mean, they'd always known. Obviously, I was kind of pushed to take piano lessons early on, but I was always still interested in it. And so it's weird. I almost started out mostly with classical piano and classical music, being interested in that. And then I got into the guitar, I'd say genuinely maybe in my late teens, like when I was, I don't know, kind of when I was still doing improv. And then, after that, it wasn't long after that I actually started writing and becoming more creative with the guitar and becoming more interested in it. And just, guitar music in general, just bands and things like that.
Yeah, I feel like it's not until maybe the last 5 or 6 years that you really started.
I'd say I started in the early 2010s was when I started getting into guitar. But when I actually started writing, it was like probably like mid 2010s. I don't know. I don't keep track of time that much, but
it's hard to keep track of the years.
Yeah, so then that's when, in terms of what we're doing now, that was when that started kind of forming more cohesively because.
What I was going to say is, like, I guess that works as, like, sort of a segue. What I was going to say is, when did you first realize that, like, I guess you play guitar now, Caroline, you play keys. Mm-hmm. What instrument were you first, like, drawn to?
Definitely, I'm more of a piano person. So, like, Schaeffer's guitar, I'm more piano. Like, that's where my songwriting, I feel like, began. Not that I haven't written songs on the guitar, but yeah, I was drawn to more like piano. To me, it's easier. Like guitar is so hard.
You stole the words out of my mouth. That's what I was just gonna ask. What? So for you, which one do you think was easier, harder, Schaeffer?
Technically, it's really weird to say because I'm better at guitar on its own, but I've probably played more piano overall, but it's mainly classical, so I'm not nearly as good as improvising on piano as I am on guitar. Not that I improvise that much in general, but like piano is definitely more straightforward. I hate to say it, but it's like there's not as much you can do with the piano.
Sure.
I don't know if there's any piano fans out there that are gonna take offense to that, but guitar, there's so it's so open-ended in terms of what you can do with it, and you even look at the variety of artists, and just what you can do with the instrument. It's so much more than just, piano is mainly just keys, I guess is what I mean. A guitar is strings, but there's so much technique into it, and rule breaking you can do. So, guitar is more complicated. It definitely is.
It takes more patience, for sure.
Yeah.
So when kind of going off of that, between all of that, you have to like create obviously your own songs, and create like, I don't know, a lot of people I've seen that they're only like cover artists or people that only strictly make originals. What did you guys go from there, realizing, all right, I can play guitar, I can play keyboard, I can sing. From that point, when did you realize that you kind of had to like make your own music, and what were you drawn to at first? Were you thinking like, oh, I got to make an original, or what made you like first get that like, all right, I gotta post something now, or I gotta put something up to share with people?
Well, for me, like it definitely goes back to that thing of like wanting to make some sort of art, like like I said, the music videos with friends.
Yeah.
So I guess wanting to have something original, like every part of the art being like from my brain, and like and I had always written, like growing up, poetry, like super cheesy poetry, and like sometimes like songs and stuff, but I started just being like really inspired. Like the first song I think that I wrote, maybe not the first one, but the first one that we did like a music video and it was original, was called Heartland, and it was like just literally about the Heartland Cafe in Rogers Park that we used to play at.
Oh wow.
And so like most of my early songwriting was just like stories about just places and things in my life, like the Heartland Cafe, and then I wrote a song about like the video store we used to go to, like rented VHSs and all that.
Yeah.
And it started then it was very much more like storytelling in places, and then it evolved more into like actual, like, okay, maybe I should express myself, like my emotions and stuff. But and that's where like I took it. But then I'm surprised too. I was surprised when Schaeffer actually started, like, I don't know if you were into, like, when you actually started writing stuff, that's when it was like, whoa, like he can actually.
Yeah, it's for me, it was almost like something. It was strange for me because it was something I had never really thought about doing that much. But growing up and practicing music, and music always being, even with classical music being a part of my life, it was like, I feel like I attained some sort of like focus on like melody itself, like the idea of melodies, and like even in classical music, like even today, I guess from taking so much piano, if I hear a melody somewhere, I'll have this weird thing where with my fingers, I'll almost, figure it, like with my fingers, almost try to figure out like the melody, like almost as if I'm playing piano. Yeah. Like where would the keys be? And I catch myself doing that with guitar. Yeah, I for some reason it was on guitar that I actually started wanting to write my own stuff. I don't know why. I think it was when I started getting into rock music and bands like that. I had grown up, even with my dad especially, like listening to a lot of things like, guitar players like Jimi Hendrix, very bluesy stuff, Queen. But then he also listened to things like the Beatles and Roy Orbison. And so when I started getting into bands like that, or like Pixies, or like the Smiths, I feel like I started narrowly sort of focusing in on like the idea of like these amazing melodies. And for some reason on guitar, it kind of opened up to me, like getting into specific guitarists that were very melodic players.
Sure.
And which is funny because it's almost something you more think of for a piano player. A lot of piano parts are very melodic, but for me, for me, it was mainly just coming up. It was the idea of composing music, I guess, it's how you could summarize it. I'm not, I don't write lyrics. Maybe eventually I will, but.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, on my end, it's mostly just when I listen to music, I really get into, chord changes and melodies over chord changes and things like that. So.
Yeah. So that, we'll get into this in a little bit, but that kind of all paints a picture of how you guys are now like working together on these projects. And kind of, I guess, since we're at the topic, I was going to wait a little bit later to get into it, but since we're there, when you guys, I've heard a lot of different stories with songwriting. I've heard of artists that cannot be in a room with anybody at all, and they have to be totally isolated to write songs. But I've also heard artists that like will be in the middle of a crowd of 100 people and figure out song lyrics. So going off of that, how do you guys like? What do you think your like songwriting process is like? And you guys kind of answered this already, kind of like on an angle of like inspirations and kind of stuff like that. But what is your songwriting process like?
For lyrics, I don't think I have to have something that I'm at least starting with, like at least like a line or just stuff I've written down to be able to sit in a room and work off of that. I come up with lyrics though definitely while I'm out. Like I have to either be walking, driving, moving, swimming, like just in some way, because like, and I think that's just like me in general. Like I get very antsy, like I have to move my body during the day and stuff, so if I don't, like, then I can't imagine like sitting in a room, like you said, just like isolated and just like, well, I guess there's a time and place for that.
Yeah. And do you think that like do you think that's been like very helpful for your writing process, or do you think there's like stuff that you'd like to do differently with your writing process, or is that kind of gonna be the thing from here on out?
I'm sure there's ways that I could like, I mean, there's obviously different things that like songwriters do, like maybe different experimentation, whatever, different ways to like find lyrics. But right now, like I almost just let, not like that I let lyrics come to me, but like it's just all inspired from things I'm like going through and stuff.
With your music, do you like while you're writing it, are you thinking about like you're kind of going off your own experiences as you're writing?
Yes, I'm going. Well, okay, so yeah, it's changed because I like in the beginning, like I said, it was about stories and stuff, or not stories, but like places and everything.
Yeah.
But now it's definitely more of like trying to express whatever I'm feeling about certain things.
Sure.
But what I was saying before, yeah, like I feel like there's a lot to be said about. There's so much you can do with lyrics. You could like do like hypothetical things, like pretend like you're another person telling a story and stuff, which like I haven't been able to like. I haven't done that recently. It's more just like coming from stuff I'm going through and trying to almost like, I always love writing stuff that maybe other people can relate to, or like if they're going through something and don't have the right words for it, like maybe I can help them figure out what they're feeling, because songs have done that for me, because maybe I'm feeling something and all of a sudden I'll hear a song like lyric and I'm like, oh my god, yeah, that's what I'm feeling, but I didn't know how to word it, and music could do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I guess, and that's the reason I asked that is just because I like to look at it from the angle of like, you know, you first started writing, like you said, you first started writing about like stuff you were seeing and stuff going on in your life.
Yeah.
And it's cool to kind of see like the change over time of how you're like writing things differently, how you're articulating.
Yeah, it was like outward and now it's like more inward.
Yeah. Okay.
And
That's
again,
cool to hear.
I don't express myself well through words. I'd have to be like singing to express.
Yeah.
Like, so it's hard for me to explain stuff sometimes, and like maybe that's why I write like music. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. So going off of that, when was the first time that you played a show in front of a group of people?
At the Heartland Cafe.
It must have been at the Heartland, yeah. Yeah, it'd have to be.
And now, was that both of you guys this, or was that just you?
So maybe that doesn't count. That was like guitar lesson shows. Like
Recitals,
I guess I was singing though. So, but it wasn't like original stuff.
Okay, it was
I think
covers.
at one point we did do original stuff.
Yeah, but I don't know if that was later. I'm trying to think of what the first
But an
time
actual
we did a
show was probably the same place we did the podcast, which was Transistor Chicago. They were like in Andersonville. Then they left Andersonville and then they came back to Andersonville.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think they're there anymore.
Oh, I think they left again.
That's sad. It was a really cool spot.
It was. The original one was farther down. Yeah, it was farther south.
So Transistor Chicago was probably the first like legit show.
Yeah.
That's cool. Okay, so I guess kind of going off of all that, we could probably get into like, I want to get in this like little venue segment here. So you played that, and then out of all like the venues that you've played today, or from then until now, do you have any that have like stuck out to you, or any venues that you've like thought about playing, or just things like that as far as like venues go? Could be in or out of town.
In or out of town. I don't know if you had any page. I don't really.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
I mean, So Far has obviously provided so many like cool venues. We played right before the pandemic. We played at the 94th, 90 something
top
floor
of the John Hancock
building.
So
that was like
cool.
2 days before everything shut down.
Yeah.
So that was like a cool thing. But like,
I was there.
Yeah, you were there exactly. that was like the night we met, I think. That's crazy.
Yeah, that.
Oh man, that's so weird. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so that was like a cool venue. Probably not my favorite. I mean, we love playing at Martyrs. That was like a
Martyrs
really
is a great space.
I have yet to play at Golden Dagger, but that place we played it when it was Tonic Room, and that was really fun. I like that space.
Yeah.
Okay, so my all time favorite, but I don't know what they're doing now, is Hungry Brain. That was like. But I'm biased because they had a grand piano, and like that was like a huge thing.
No, Hungry Brain, that was a cool space.
Hungry Brain was a great
one
show.
That sticks out to me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the Whistler.
The Whistler. I was going to say
the Whistler also. Just like these really intimate places. I like those type of places.
Yeah, it's all about the atmosphere. I mean, that sounds very cliche, but I mean, they have a certain feel to them.
That's perfect. A segue for what I was going to ask then, because out of all the venues that you guys have played, I could be speaking out of personal experience here, but like being in front of a group of people, to me personally, is very nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
As a musician, I'm sure there's a point where you have to like break that wall of like, oh my God, like you're in front of, and just kind of like either bleep them out or you're just there, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
How, out of like all the venues you've played, have there been any where you're like standing on stage and you're just like, oh my God? Or has that like, you just never experienced that
like
throughout
where
playing
I'm like
in front of people?
nervous?
Yeah. Have you like, you just look at it like, there's a lot of people.
So I think probably my first So Far show was like so different because So Fars are like very intimate and like so that was probably so different when it was, because I think right before that I was probably playing shows where like you're in bars where like half people aren't even listening. So to all of a sudden have people like
everybody's focused,
everybody's watching you. It's like, oh my God, they're actually listening.
Right.
This is great, but it's also scary. It's like
I don't know. I don't know if there's ever been a time where because like I'm always a little bit nervous. So there's like times where I'm more nervous. It depends. Like the most recent So Far we played, like the audience was so amazing that like I wasn't really nervous at all because they felt everybody felt so connected.
Yeah, sometimes it really depends not on the size of the audience, but just the feel you get.
Yeah.
Sometimes some are very lively and really engaging, and then some are the opposite, and they're not responsive, and
which
you
as
feel
like
all alone.
Professional, I guess we should be like not.
I know.
So, but I do. That's because that's what I'm there for, like to connect with people and like hope that they relate in some way or enjoy it. So if you're not getting a response, sometimes it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Do they just?
So does it feel? Does it feel weird then when you're playing in a bar and people are just kind of not paying attention?
Oh my God, I guess I won't say where. Well, I don't know. It's not like I'm bashing this place, but like we got a gig once where we like were playing these weekly shows at this one bar, and nobody was listening. Like we were playing.
Oh man,
it didn't make any sense for us to be there at all.
Yeah,
like.
It was,
which was fine. Like we were getting paid.
Yeah, that's really what matters. We were getting paid.
But it was like
that was the redeeming.
Not the type of atmosphere where they needed live music that was just like a singer songwriter type thing. It was just so loud. Yeah,
if anything, it's almost like we were an odd choice to have.
Yeah.
Because you almost might as well just have like an instrumental group or something. I don't know, something providing background music, but.
So that, like, you can't be nervous in that situation.
Yeah.
Nobody's listening
Sometimes
anyway.
It's like, I'll just do whatever I want. They're not paying attention to me anyway.
I get oftentimes, like, even artists that I know have played a handful of shows, or even some that have only played like 1 or 2 shows, I'll get this question a lot, is like, people be like, oh, what venue do you think I should play at in Chicago? And I'm like, well, first off, there's a lot of venues.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you, but as I'm not an artist and you guys are, if you were to like recommend a venue to someone or recommend like some place, well, okay, let's split this because So Far is obviously like its own thing. We can talk about that in a second, but outside of So Far, if you were to like tell another artist like, hey, you should try to like email these guys, go play here, or like this is a great place to start playing, what place would you tell them to go to?
So like this is for somebody who's like never played anywhere?
Either that or it's played a couple shows and is just trying to play at a venue, like what venue? Or like even if you had to start square one, like right now, it'd be like, oh, but you knew about all these venues. Okay. Where would you like?
Like I feel like Uncommon Ground was like always a nice place to start. Yeah. Because they have
It's pretty laid back. But it's not too demanding in terms of even audience size. You know, even if you're playing with another opening for someone, it's a good space because it's not big. I mean,
I keep hearing such good things about like Golden Dagger and stuff.
Yeah, Golden Dagger, smaller-ish venues like that aren't too demanding about who they sign on, you know.
And to be honest, like there's still a lot of venues that we would like to play at and haven't yet because of a lot of it was because of COVID, because like when we started playing more and more, it got cut off and by that. Yeah. And now I know a lot of, you know, people who all the venues are backed up like from people they had to cancel on, I'm sure. So But yeah, it's kind of the same places that I said before. I really like Martyrs. The first place I saw a show, or not the first place I saw a show, but like some places that I've enjoyed watching people have been like Evanston Space. That was a really cool venue. And I've seen a lot of shows that obviously like Subterranean.
I mean,
yeah. That's like a classic place.
Yeah, maybe if you're, But yeah, for somebody who's just starting out, I'd say the smaller venues like we named. There's probably more I'm not even thinking
of. Because it's been a while.
Yeah. It's...
Yeah.
Things are that sort of returning to normal, I guess.
Yeah.
We're slowly inching there.
Yeah.
So off of that, kind of moving on to a different little segment here. You guys now are making music together. And what was like the first song that you guys released together, and then now kind of like what you've been working on together?
Okay, so the first time we started collaborating was probably when you just started kind of taking songs that I'd already written, right? Songs that I'd already written.
Yeah.
But the first time we actually, probably, I feel like, was it Pencil Box? Or no?
Was it Neighbor? Might have been Neighbor.
Neighbor or Pencil Box?
I think it was Neighbor.
Oh, Neighbor, yeah.
That was like one of the first songs that I did and was happy with, that I actually was like, oh, this is the first time I'm doing it. So it was...
I think that's
It's not like I was nervous. It was more just like, this is my first time doing this. I don't know.
Sure.
You don't know how people are gonna judge your work when it's your first time showing it. But yeah, that was the first one we did together.
Yeah, and then from there we just kind of started figuring out ways to like collaborate. Like either he would give me like a sample of something he was working on. I would be like, oh, do I have any kind of lyrics that would fit with this? Because I have so many lyrics just like jotted down. Or I would have kind of ideas and he would flesh them out. That kind of thing.
Okay.
And it's still kind of like that now. It's sort of half and half. Sometimes she'll have something and I'll change chords in it, or I'll change chord changes in it and things like that, or I'll add a bridge or something like that to the song structure. So it's sort of half and half.
Do you guys have any like favorite songs you've done right now that are out?
I always love 31st, but that's just because I like, that's the one I'm happiest right now, like the most recent one that we've released. What about you?
I'd say What Took Her So Long is probably
that's when we have the music
the
video.
one that's finished.
Songs of Bob.
I can say I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. From
I also really like Heathen was like on the EP release like during the pandemic. I really like that one. It's hard to say too because we have so many ideas that are just like waiting to be completed. And anything I release, I'm like, oh wow, I have an even better idea right behind that. Yeah. So like, but yeah, those are like favorites that I've released, I guess.
Yeah.
No, I personally like know the answers to this question, but for people that don't, where do you like as far as like making your music? Do you guys go to a studio, or are you making this all in your house, like yourself?
Yeah, we've been to studio. So the most recent place we've gone to is Rax Tracks with Rick Barnes. And yeah, we record there. We've worked with a bassist and a drummer, and James Boyd and Jay Gentile. And they've kind of like, we're always like asking them to perform with us. They're amazing.
Yeah, they're there. They catch on to everything very, very quickly.
That's really where we've most recently recorded stuff. But on our own, we're just like kind of just now starting to like figure stuff on our own, like at home. We're
kind of aiming more for that right now. At least getting better at it.
Yeah.
So we're sort of in the process of slowly setting up a home studio and getting better at, for now at least, recording decent sounding demos. So we can have a more, fleshed out version of our ideas to start with.
Sure.
And just to get better at production in general, even if we don't completely know what we're doing, Just trying.
Yeah. And my next thing I was going to ask is, so going off of that, since you guys are like obviously working on stuff together, has there been any other collaborations you guys have done with like other artists since then, or has it just been like you two with your bassist and drummer?
That's something that I would love to do more. I'm trying to think. So it's funny that you asked, because we kind of do have some things. Like even our drummer James, like he makes a lot of like beats and like does stuff in his like home studio. So we might be like collaborating with him. There was something else too, that I'm forgetting that I was just going to say.
On that.
I sang. Well, yeah, that was like, I did sing on like this. Rap, was it like rap, like spoken, like
yeah,
I don't know.
It was basically,
I don't remember if you called it rap or not. Yeah, I sang on this rap song, like years ago. It's on my SoundCloud. Like I re-shared it on there. It's a really great song. It was really fun doing that. Like, it's somebody I met through like the improv comedy community.
Oh,
and, like,
sick!
He does music. Yeah, and so like he just reached out to me and was like, would you like be able to like sing like the chorus like line of this? So that was really cool. But yeah, as far as
there's been things like that over the years, but it's definitely something I'd like to do more.
Besides James, there was something else. I was like, who else was it that I was? But that's definitely something I'd like to do more.
So going off of that too is you kind of through like talking to you and seeing your music, you kind of have like there's a lot of like experimentation going on, especially with that song that I'll let you mention that someone just put out a cover of. With that song, I noticed it's kind of like, it sounds a little bit different than the rest of your music. Has like a different kind of vibe to it. What would you say, like, as far as like experimentation goes with your music?
So yeah, that one is very different. It's called 24 Pack. We have it on Bandcamp, and yeah, it like got attention on TikTok, and somebody covered it, which that's like that's probably my favorite thing that's happened so far in my career, is like seeing somebody else cover your song. That's amazing, because I don't know, it's just so cool. I would love to like write songs for people. That would be cool. Or just have my songs be covered by other people. So as far as experimentation, like for me, like there's all kinds of like, so for lyrics there's experimentation. That one's very much more like, I guess almost like sarcastic, like, or what do you call it?
I'd say
like
to a certain extent.
Because I definitely, no matter what, like humor is a big part of like me and like my identity. Like I definitely like that, like funny, any kind of like, including like laughter or anything like that and stuff. So definitely there's been songs I've written that are a little bit more humorous. So that's different than like my regular stuff I write. But
sure.
And I don't know, like how would you describe like the style? Because it's definitely different than our stuff, and it's the first thing we've done at home. Yeah,
that's one thing about it was our approach with doing it was one of the first at-home recordings we've done in a while that we were actually taking pretty seriously. So my goal with it was to keep it as stripped down and straightforward, as simple as possible.
Right.
So the overall vibe of it, that's what's kind of fun with experimenting with not just new sounds, but new feels and atmospheres with songs. With that was like, how would you describe, like, sort of just very chill. Very chill,
but I think also it just goes into like how this whole like home studio thing it's just
it's definitely one of the most different, even on my end, the guitar in it, because of the feel of the song inspired me to just go with sounds I've never, a sound that I hadn't tried before, which is a very warbly vibrato sound that sort of sounds I don't want to say the word quirky. It's a terrible. I guess it's like a quirky song, which like and that's definitely not But it's one of the great things about experimenting with new types of songs is it makes you experiment with new types of sounds as a result. So
and I think that's where we're still at. We're still kind of trying to figure out exactly what our sound is.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's overwhelming in some ways to have like a program, especially even like Logic. That's what we've been using, because there's so many sounds. There's so many different ways you can do one thing. I mean, even like with like beats and everything. I mean, so we're gonna be trying to like release like maybe one song at a time. Maybe we'll do some sort of album. I don't know.
Yeah, an EP, something small.
Some different sounding stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I think that's one thing, personally speaking, with music is when you experiment, it's interesting to see how people connect to it in a different way, from like person to person. And going off of that, let's kind of jump into like a little like social media segment here.
Yeah.
Because you have, off the experimentation thing, we've talked about this on and off, but like you have that Smiths cover that's on YouTube that has like done really well. It's like picked up a significant amount of people. How do you feel about like being an artist and making like cover songs? Was that something that like someone who's just starting to make music, you'd be like, yeah, make cover songs? Because you know me, I always tell people to do that.
Yeah.
But is that something that you think is like pretty useful, or do you tend to want to steer away from that?
I think it's very useful. I mean, I think people like, that's what gives people views, obviously. I think that's useful.
Yeah.
It's not something like I love doing all the time, because most of my time I do like to spend make my own stuff.
Yeah.
And I have to really like the song that I'm covering.
Yes, yeah. I think it's especially good for somebody if you're just starting out to put yourself out there, especially if you're going to be publishing it in some way, but also just practicing with playing songs in general, because obviously it's going to be something you love, but it's also an example that you can use to put yourself out there and experiment with maybe changing the song up a lot and really putting it into your own style and using it to find your own style. And obviously, more practically to get more views too. So
we did not expect that to...
but yeah, I think it's a great, just versatile thing to approach.
Now, since we're in social media, kind of give me your like experience with social media from the very start of like making music and putting it out there, because this is a very like, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. Is it not polarizing, but it's very like different from person to person. Some people are like, yes, social media. Some people are like, get me out of here. But then other people are like, no, you gotta keep doing this, and we gotta all stick with it for it to work. But what has been like your experience with it as far as like posting stuff, as far as like mental energy you've put into it, everything like that, and like I guess just where did you start?
Well, it's funny because like I was even thinking about when we were talking about the home studio, it's almost like we're going back to square one of like we started just like doing stuff, like on our own, like just on our computer. Obviously it's not different now. Like we have so much available to us, but not just like that little Lego Studios camera. But
a little more than that now.
And so it's like we're going back to square one, but we still have this new pressure of social media. Like back then, we didn't. I think there was like MySpace. That was
that was it.
Even
then, if it was even around.
I don't even know. And there wasn't like, it's not like you were on MySpace all the time. I guess maybe I don't know. I don't know how often I was on MySpace. But once like smartphones came, and I remember first getting Instagram, and that was still when we were like with her friend Sammy and stuff. Like we had this like little band. That's when we were like still playing at Heartland. And I remember feeling like, I look back, I was like so naive. I was like, wow, Instagram, this is this like cool new thing. Like I'm gonna get so many friends, like so many followers, and like start my music career.
Oh my
like,
God.
Because like when you think about it, like how amazing is it that we can share our art to everybody like on our phone? But the reality is,
I think Instagram is the reality. I think Instagram, that was the early days. It was more innocent. Instagram was seen as like the artist's version of like, because it was all pictures. So
and now like literally everybody has an Instagram. Not to like be mean.
And it's become very...
some people don't belong on there. I don't know. But...
it's different now. It just comes with the success of the platform. And it's definitely more... monetized now, and
it's become less
capitalized
creative, and more like of this thing you have to be successful at and good at, and it's competitive, like it's exhausting. It's really exhausting. It takes so much. I don't know how people do it. Like Because I honestly don't do a good job of it. I don't know.
I mean, you cracked the YouTube code once, but...
Yeah, and I didn't even... That was on accident. That was literally an
accident. I think that's the key. You don't even have to try.
It's crazy, though. And I think that's what's annoying about social media, for me, is okay, we did Big Mouth Strikes Again. We did a cover by The Smiths. And it blew up. And it's from, years ago, over 7 years ago, maybe even.
Yeah.
And there's so much stuff that I feel is better that we've uploaded and stuff, and it's not getting the same amount of views. And everybody will comment on that. And some people will even comment. I feel like we've gotten a few negative comments. Not negative, but maybe commenting on our singing or my singing or something. And it's yeah, that was look at my new stuff.
Yeah,
why are you looking at this old video?
Stop looking at this. Look at our. It's frustration.
It's also gotten really good feedback. People are "Oh, this is an awesome cover." I'm "Oh my god!" But then it makes you feel okay. Look at. There's so much art that I have out there. Why is this thing? What is it? This algorithm that's this one thing, and that's what I hate. These freaking algorithms.
It's very strange because you're out. You can't control what people are looking at when it comes to your content. They're looking at the thing you don't want them to look at. So it's it's just weird. It's really not up to you.
It's not, and it's exhausting trying to, like I said, crack the code, whatever. Figure out the algorithm, figure out what's gonna get you views, what's gonna get you followers.
And that's where I feel like it comes into conflict with just the creative side of it. Is I even look at artists, and bands that I really look up to on Instagram, and a lot of them they don't post every day. Sometimes they post once a week or something, and so obviously they'll promote their new album or single or something.
I was gonna say it might not even be them posting. Once you get to a certain point, it's just
if you're big enough, you probably have somebody managing your own social media, but. I think what's weird creatively if you're a band or a musician or an artist, it's originally I feel something like Instagram started out appealing to that. It was, like I said, it was the creative version of, it was one of the first very creative social media things. But now I feel you almost have to think, okay, what am I doing? I'm making music, I'm making art, trying to connect with people. But if you get too sidetracked with how many likes you get or how many followers you're getting or how active you are on there in the first place, you're not doing the right work in the end because you're not making art, and it's a hard balance to maintain.
Also, just having the app in general, while you're in the meantime of all you're talking about, all we've talked about, you're also seeing everybody else, including celebrities, just living their best lives, or comparing yourself to people, or
it's also dangerous.
And that's a weird balance to find too. How vulnerable to be on there, because there's I think a lot of people are kind of talking about everybody only shares the good parts of things or their most successful moments.
Show the best, hide the rest.
Yeah, and but then there's a whole other thing of but then what if you post about being depressed or something? Then are you going to be seen as attention seeking or something? How vulnerable should you be?
Yeah.
I don't know. So yeah, it's just kind of exhausting.
It's very interesting.
It is, yeah. And so I think even just as the scrolling and seeing other people's stuff can be just as draining, because you just kind of, and we all know too, some of these apps are addicting. I deleted TikTok and I got it back, but I don't ever look at it. I just only from time to time if I feel I want to upload something, because that's just a dangerous app, I feel. It is. And it also it's listening to me sometimes, I feel.
They won't stop sending me emails. I don't know why.
They send you emails?
Yeah, and I said unsubscribe, and then they just send me more emails about posts that I missed out on. And then I'm
you're missing out on so many posts.
What do you, I know the answer to this, but for people that are listening, what has your experience been on TikTok since you first got it and sharing your music?
So I'm trying to think when I first started last year or something. It was from my experience, I've actually met, I know the goal always is get followers, get a fan base, which but I've just met more musicians, which has been really cool. I mean, from all over the place.
Cool.
That's what's been really cool. Musicians that I even like fellow, you know, peers, whatever, musicians that I actually enjoy their music. Like, we've even talked about, like, once things open back up, maybe even, like, collaborating, like, doing shows together. So, and that's the thing. Like, I'm talking about, like, the darkness of social media, but there are, like, there's some, like, aspects of, like, light in there where it's like you can really connect with people like you wouldn't be able to do if you didn't have it. And that's why I do like to upload stuff to TikTok sometimes, just to see, like, 24 pack is something I recently uploaded on there, and people really liked it, just to see if there's anybody out there who doesn't, like, relate or enjoy or, like, feels inspired by stuff. So I think there are pros and cons to TikTok. There is a really cool musician community on there, though.
So you would recommend or would not recommend to people?
Like, download the app or what?
Yeah.
I think if you are very, like, disciplined about it, self-disciplined, and yeah, you know what you're getting into.
You could almost say that for all social media now.
Yeah, for all social media.
Even Instagram too. It's like, you know, I almost wish there was a setting with these where you could somehow limit your view to just people you follow, which obviously you do that by just looking through your feed, but it's hard not to get sidetracked and start just finding all these things that just, you, like you said, you start comparing yourself to people, and, you know, you start getting to, you know, your suggested feed and all this stuff that these apps are feeding you.
Yeah.
And so it really, I think it takes discipline, like psychological discipline, to be like, I just want to focus on these people that I'm connecting with and that I really like and that I've discovered, instead of getting distracted by all the other nonsense and things.
Yeah.
So being musicians, do you think that's like a hard, like, push and pull thing between, like, the creating process?
Yeah, definitely. I mean,
yeah,
I've actually considered, I think I've talked to you about, I mean, I have talked to you about this, about, like, taking a break from it, like, Instagram, maybe, like, all social media. I feel like Instagram is the one that I have the most trouble, like, with. It just feels the most frustrating to me.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. It is.
So I think I might, like, take a break from that, and then I'll get back to you with the results. I'm like, am I going to be, like, more productive creatively during this time? Am I going to just, like, if you know, mental health, is that going to improve? We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm going to try that and see what happens. But then there's also the pressure of, like, oh my God, am I going to miss out on stuff, like, while I'm gone? Am I going to, like, you know, lose, like, connections with people? We'll see what happens.
Right. I mean, hey, I think it's a pretty normal thing as an artist or as a creator in general to take a step back from it and really focus in on, like, what you're really drawn to, as opposed to the stuff that's pulling you out of what you're drawn to.
Yeah.
But I guess what we left out of that was, like, we talked about Instagram, talked about TikTok, but as musicians, you guys post on Spotify and you post on SoundCloud.
Yes.
What is, like, the two ends of it? Like, what has your experience been like posting on Spotify and then putting on SoundCloud? Like, and what are you using the two for? Because I have some artist friends that are like, I'll find their exact same music on Spotify and SoundCloud, but then I have other ones where it's like, I'll go down the same album in SoundCloud and there's literally like 4 extra songs and they're just straight up not on Spotify. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I found a little gem on the internet. Like,
yeah, for sure.
And it's cool.
We also use Bandcamp. That's like another one.
Bandcamp.
Yeah. I hope more people.
What are your experiences like on those?
They're much, like, I don't have as many people, I feel like, listening to my music on those, because Spotify's like the mainstream thing. I love, like, so SoundCloud, you're totally right. Like, I will kind of put, like, even, like, old demos on there. Like, most of the old songs we're talking about, like, will be on SoundCloud because I'll just keep them on there because I'm not going to, like, that's not just stuff I don't think it belongs on Spotify. Like, Spotify's just, like, for our, like, really, like, you know, mix and master, like, professional stuff we have. But, I mean, like, I hope that the stuff we work on at home will be able to be on Spotify eventually.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Absolutely.
I love how much more personal SoundCloud and Bandcamp are, especially like Bandcamp. It feels almost like this, like just this like little supportive community and stuff. It's just much more,
It feels more geared towards the artist.
Yeah,
themselves.
it's like much more of an artistic.
Okay.
You know, and Spotify is something that's very it's massive, so it's it's just different.
But I personally use Spotify to listen to music. So
yeah, I do too. So
I don't know. It depends on what people use.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes so it's not really like I guess what I got from that is like it's not really one or the other. It's just kind of whatever you end up using and what kind of like you feel more comfortable with.
Yeah, and I'm definitely, especially with SoundCloud, I'm more free. Like I have more freedom. I feel on there to just upload whatever because it's like. It's almost like a little like you can. It's just like you said. There can be extra stuff like demos or something. I can.
Yeah, it's almost like a more experimental.
It's more experimental.
Layer
That's
to the experience. You know?
Yeah.
What gives you more listens out of all of them?
I guess Spotify.
Yeah, I'd say Spotify.
Just because I've like promoted that the most and all that.
The pay on Spotify I've heard is a disaster.
Yeah. Bandcamp is like.
I wish them all the success. I hope more people use Bandcamp.
Yes.
I wish it's something that would really take off as much as Spotify.
No, I know the answer to this question, but I noticed on Bandcamp you can sell merch on there, and you guys have merch.
Yeah.
What is that? How do you think like merch affects you as an artist? Like I said affects, but I meant more like how do you think like merch plays into like everything as far as being an artist? Do you think that's like something every artist should have, or is that just something that you guys do because you wanted to do it, or?
Both. I mean, I think that artists should definitely have merch. We're still kind of new to that. I mean, we're still like figuring out like designs. Like the most solid design I think we had was for our 31st thing.
Yeah.
It was like a Halloween-ish look because 31st is like very Halloween themed song. But yeah, we're still very new to that, and there's so many different ways to do it. Like there's like bonfire we used was a there's a lot of different things. But I mean both of us are into like art too. I mean like drawing, all that kind of stuff. So
that's what I was gonna ask.
That can like that's always fun to like figure out like how to implement that sort of art into
it's a whole different side to your creativity that you can at least express.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people like hire different like artists and stuff to do that, so it's really cool that you guys do that. Do you design your own album covers too?
Yeah, I design my own album cover. I mean, mostly it's been like what's our most recent? Actually, the most recent album cover, not 24-pack, but before that is King, and like my dad. That's like a painting my dad drew, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Or my dad painted.
Oh wow, that's very cool.
Or was it a painting or a drawing? Like I don't know. So I don't remember what medium.
Is it colored pencil? I don't remember.
Maybe
he made it. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's kind of what I like about doing stuff. Like you can add your own like sentimental value to things too.
Sure.
It's a whole different side of just visual art that you can focus on, even if it's very simple.
Yeah. No, I think you guys do a really good job of that. I mean, I like the merch. I like the graphics on the album covers. Those are all really cool. I guess kind of going off of that, kind of getting towards the end, going off of that too, is there any songs that you guys right now are like just really excited about, or any songs you guys want to like, you mentioned a couple of them already, but is there any songs you guys want to like drop or make note of?
Well, obviously, I'm excited for just the stuff we're going to start recording. I mean, the next song I think that we're going to probably work on is called The Great Stone Face, and I've performed that a lot live. I think I might have like a demo.
Very simple demo, but we're actually going to try and record a more fleshed out version of it.
So and we have like a home recorded like music video for it too, I think on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's like a big song that I've always wanted to record, and I just haven't, just because I mean, with studios too, it's money, so like you have to like budget and make sure you can't go in there and be like, I'm gonna record 20 of my songs. But yeah, it's mainly like that. That next group of songs that we're gonna be recording in the home studio that I'm excited about.
It's mostly just stuff that's not out yet. So
I know, honestly, that's how I feel. Like sometimes it's stuff that's not out yet, stuff that we've just been performing a lot. So people who've been at our shows, I'm sure will know them, but like and I mean everything that we have on Spotify and stuff I'm proud of right now. I mean even SoundCloud, we have like old stuff on there that some people I'm sure will connect with, but yeah.
Sweet. Well, yeah. Is there any other thing that we didn't cover before I get to the advice segment that you guys want to talk about?
I don't think so.
I can't think of anything. I don't know.
I think that's it. I think
Cool.
we covered like our beginning to where we are right now. Still trying to just get our art out there and figure out the mental health aspect out of it. Like,
I mean, drop like your social media. Where they can find you.
So on Instagram, which I might be taking a break from, it's but still, I mean, like, I'd love for people to still follow me because I'm not gonna like disappear. It's CQ Lucius, so CQLUCIUS. We have I think CQ Lucius is like a lot of like the handles for things. Otherwise you can just do Caroline Lucius, and that's like a whole other thing we're discussing too. Is like, since it's definitely like a collaboratory thing now, like a band name in the future. Which is always
I was just gonna ask about that.
Yeah, because like just going by a name, it's like it's not just me anymore. Which is
it's getting to the point where we're considering, it could happen. Some sort of
is
change.
That's how your band name came to you, just because it was just you at first, and then you guys just started working on stuff together, and then it just never changed, basically.
Yeah, I mean, like, our original band name when we were like doing stuff was Signature Groove.
Yeah, we were.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I have like the whole logo I made and everything.
Yeah.
That was like,
oh my god,
Signature Groove. Yeah.
A lot of our songs were comedic.
A lot of our songs were they were comedic. So.
Yeah. And then we went through different changes over time, and then eventually you just settled on your own name.
Yeah, like people were telling me, because like they didn't really know how much Schaeffer was like an actual co-writer, so they were like, you should just be Caroline Lucius. And then now it's like, okay, but I'm not only Caroline Lucius. I have like again, like collaborative stuff. Like we have even like our band that we play with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like a whole persona to it that I don't know if like I don't know if it is Caroline Lucius. It's like it's like a bigger thing now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, like I'm on Instagram, TikTok. I think is CQ Lucius as well. And then just Caroline Lucius on everything else for now. We'll see.
For now, all right.
Until further notice.
This is February 24th, 2022. So, alrighty, cool. Well, yeah, I guess is there any for the very last little tidbit of this? What advice would you give to, like, in a few sentences or a sentence, would you give like someone who's like, all right, today I'm gonna get out a guitar, start this music career? What would be like the main thing you'd be like, all right, go ahead and try this?
I'll let you start first because
well, assuming they're just starting out, obviously practice a lot. That's a given. But
Schaeffer practices a lot.
But if you're just starting out and you want to establish yourself as an artist, I'd say focus on figuring out what you want to sound like. I know that sounds very obvious, but even through the use of covers, even through understanding the type of artist you like, maybe even try recording very simple at-home demos, so that if you do end up recording in a studio or getting a record deal or whatever ends up happening, you at least maintain an identity and you're not just going in blind. And you can actually have a say in what you sound like. And then obviously, I don't know, in terms of doing gigs.
Yeah, I mean, there's open mics. Like, there's a lot of open mics from the city. I mean, if you're confident enough, I mean, even if starting out like on sofars and stuff like that.
And then just those small, fundamental Chicago venues, or whatever, wherever you are.
Not comparing yourself to people.
Yeah. That too.
Make sure you if you have your own artistic ideas or whatever, or identity that you think you're comfortable with, or that you like,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess since we're on advice, just real quickly, I want to add to this because there's a question I get a lot is like, how has like so far helped you out with your music? You kind of covered this already in it, but like, I always get this question in my inbox. People like, how can I get into so far? And like, obviously they do apply on the site. And then they get accepted, then they get in. But how much has like so far made like an impact on your music, do you think? And like what advice is there to be given with like so far stuff?
It's made I feel like a huge impact on our like performance and stage presence and everything, because again, yeah, you're at a place where people are listening to. They're actually there to listen to your music. You're not just like playing a gig where you're at a loud place where like you don't even know if people are listening or whatever.
Yeah.
So you have to be ready to like not only engage with the
I
audience,
was gonna say, be
like,
ready to engage. You don't have the excuse of, well, I'm playing to a brick wall.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I have to use it as a learning experience.
So it's impacted stage presence. I mean, also just like being able to play so consistently and like experiment with new stuff and new setups. I mean, we'll play so far as anything from like just Schaeffer and I, like an acoustic set to like a full band. So like you can kind of just like experiment with different setup. It's just great for experimenting and like getting better at what you're doing stage presence wise.
Yeah.
And like people follow you on socials and stuff like that too. That I feel like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they always are like promoting people on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'd recommend like someone trying to like apply for So Far after they've kind of like put out an EPK and stuff like that?
I think after they've kind of established, like you have like songs you're proud of, you kind of
you have some kind of identity, at least artistically.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that'd be a good place to start presenting it to people.
Yeah, I think so.
Sweet. All right. Well, I think that's a great ender segment right there. But yeah, hey, thanks for hopping on. I appreciate that. Super cool hearing about your music experiences. And yeah, we'll leave it at that.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This was fun.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, of course. All right. Bye.